Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Senator, Grinder, Pagoda, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some rum, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 88th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a Cuban cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We discuss PL's history with machine-made cigars, we talk smoking outside in the summer, and we debate repairing cracked wrappers on cigars, all among a variety of other things for the next 90 minutes. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair 15-year aged Barbancourt Haitian rum with the Por Larrañaga Galanes. A Robusto from Por Larrañaga tonight out of Havana. It's called the Galanes. It's a 52 ring gauge cigar by 4 3/4 inches. And I've never had this cigar, boys, but it looks great.
It does look good.
And especially, you know, we talk a lot about Cuban Robustos.
Yeah.
We smoke a lot of Cuban Robustos. And, well, this one I think is a little shorter.
A touch.
It's its own size. Actually, the factory name is also a Galanes.
Mm.
It's not a Robusto like some of the others, but you don't hear much about this. You don't see many people smoking this. They don't come up that much.
This Vitola or the Marca in general.
Yeah, I think the one that comes up is the Petit Corona.
I happen to love that cigar.
Yeah,
And I know Rooster does too.
Yeah.
That's an awesome stick.
And that's
It
the only
is.
other Por Larrañaga we ever did on the podcast was
And it
the Petit Corona.
Comes
Yeah.
in a 50 cap, which is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
What
Can't-
does Por Larrañaga mean?
It means by Larrañaga, which was the last name of the gentleman who founded it in the 1800s.
cool.
By Larrañaga.
A lot of history there. Then.
A lot of history. I have some more, actually. We can go into it. But first, boys, let's cut this thing. See, we're getting on the cold draw on the wrapper. I'm very intrigued by this cigar tonight. It's a pretty modestly priced Robusto.
How much are these?
You could find them anywhere between 18 and 21.
That's a great deal.
So it's not bad, especially in a 10-count box. I mean, obviously, if you're buying RAS in a 50 cab, you don't want to be paying that kind of price for it, at least today. But when you're buying something in a 10-count, obviously, you're going to pay a little bit more for it than you would in a 50. But
The cold draw is really pleasant.
it is.
A bit fruity
Yeah, it's really nice.
and a little creamy for me.
Yeah, woody.
And the draw is wide open.
Yeah, draws really nice.
I remember getting like a sweetness right on the light. What I remember with the last time I had it.
I think when I smell the foot, I get this really light milk chocolate thing. I don't know. It's probably every cigar I smoke.
Yeah.
I think
No,
it's
you're not
like-
wrong.
I think you're spot on. I definitely get
Yeah.
cocoa.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
You're not wrong.
Awesome. Can't wait to smoke this. Let's do it, boys. The Por Larrañaga Galanes. Again, it's a 52 ring gauge Robusto by 4 3/4 inches out of Havana, Cuba. It's the second PL we've done on the pod. The other was the previously mentioned Petit Corona. We did that ages ago. I think this is what, episode 90? I think that may have been episode 12. So it's quite some time ago. We'll see how it does. Wow, I really like it on the light.
Wow, very flavorful.
Wow.
I will say my draw is probably it's too wide open.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it feels really wide open. In
It's
fact, the smoke up in itself,
Zero resistance.
it covered my whole face.
The aroma coming off of it, the initial flavor, everything on the light is a slam dunk.
Do you
I think
get a
I'm gonna
sweet?
enjoy it.
Do you get that sweetness right
But
on
it's
the light?
there's a fullness to it.
Yeah,
That's
it's a rich,
very rich.
sweet, full.
But creamy.
Yeah.
I'm getting spice though.
Are you?
Yeah.
Some white pepper maybe?
This is really nice. Maybe like a little shortbread type thing. Wow. I'm into it.
The smoke output's awesome on this.
Yeah. You know what's funny about the size of this? It makes me wonder what makes them say, "Hey, like let's do a Robusto, but let's cut half an inch off of it, or let's cut a quarter of an inch off of it." Like, I don't understand the decision to not make it a full Robusto in line with the other Robustos that we smoke all the time.
Probably dictated by the leaves, right? The
Shorter,
size of
shorter leaves.
smaller.
I'm curious what that
We come in
decision-making
all
process-
sizes.
Cheers to you, Pagoda.
We come in all sizes, buddy.
Oh, yes, you do.
The other thing that's interesting too, from a Habanos decision standpoint, is they only come in 10-count boxes. There is no 25-count box. There's no 50-count box, and there's no smaller packs. It's only this wooden flip-top lid 10-count box.
I love the 10 count.
So these were initially released in 2020. So this line has not been out very long. The cigars we're smoking tonight are from May 22. So they're about a year old.
How many cigars do they have? Do they make?
Right now in regular production, I believe that there are only 3.
Amazing.
It's the
Excuse me,
Galanes,
4.
Oh, Picadores and what else?
Petit Coronas Monte Carlos,
Oh, the Monte Carlo.
which is a slim panatella. The Picadores, which is a Habanos specialist release. So it's not an LCDH, but it has a different band than these do.
It's got a red band.
Yeah, it has an all red band, which it's an odd choice, but
Red and white, I think.
yeah, it looks like a Romeo type band. And the one that we're smoking now, has the classic Por Larrañaga gold band with very, very simple silver lettering on it. And then the final, so we named them Galanes, this one, Picadores, Monte Carlos, and the Petit Coronas.
Nice.
And really the ones that I see come up the most are the Petit Corona and the Monte Carlos.
I haven't ever seen these come up anywhere,
Yeah, I don't see these much at all.
but the PC a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rightfully so. That versatility, it's delicious. Beautiful 50 cap presentation, can't beat that.
Yeah, this is really nice on the light.
It's good.
Yeah.
What I like about this, so I'm not a huge fan of the PLPC. I know Rooster and some of the other guys in the room, Bam, I think really like that cigar. For me, it's a bit too woody. That's like very characteristic, I feel like, of this brand. I like that this is more balanced with some more sweetness and some other notes and even a little cocoa and things that Pagoda was mentioning before. So for me, this is more my speed.
Who gave you your last Petit Corona? I'd like to know.
I mean, I've only had maybe one or two, probably Rooster.
I think we should give him one each.
You do that. I gave it to him last time.
Well, we did them on the pod.
That's true. I get a lot of graham cracker and I do get dessert notes on that.
I'll be
Really?
honest. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
like the cigar. I really like the Petit Corona.
Yeah.
I just don't like the the
It's just
size.
You get a lot of woodiness in that.
There's definitely a cedar thing for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely
A
that.
bit.
But it has a sweetness about it.
Try it
just have
again. Try it
yeah.
again because now the box has been sitting. I think we both have. I have,
have
LGR 2019 box.
I have a 2019 box and a 2020 box, both 50 cabs. I'll bring you one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll bring the whole cab
Ooh.
next time. He's got
sir.
two cabs.
One for me, 49 for Rooster.
I'll bring him. Yeah.
So what kind of flavor notes are you getting now that we're kind of into this cigar now? I'm still getting a very rich, but I would say mild, maybe touching on medium experience.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
It has a sweetness to it. It's still a little woody, but I like the flavor profile quite a bit.
I'm still getting this odd like spice, but I'm doing a lot of retrohale, and it's like a cinnamony spice. It's not like an allspice or like a baking. It's like a.
You know what's strange?
It's not even peppery.
It's cinnamon, but a little cardamom for me on the finish.
Wow.
I'm not getting cardamom. I'm getting
Green cardamom or black cardamom?
What's the difference?
I don't know.
Oh, huge difference.
What is? I'm serious. What's the
I only know
difference?
cardamom and brown.
Green cardamoms are very small, and the black ones are much bigger and like gnarly looking.
And do they taste?
Well, I
They taste
Tastes totally different, yeah.
So Por Larrañaga has quite a history as a brand. It was founded in 1834, as we mentioned, by Ignacio Larrañaga in Havana. The name again meaning by Larrañaga, by him. And by the end of the 1800s, apparently it was a very, very well-known and popular premium cigar brand. Like it was one of the more popular brands coming out of Havana. And what's interesting about this brand that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because of the way the Cubans are made now, they did a complete pivot with the brand. And Por Larrañaga was the first brand in Havana to make machine-made cigars.
Really?
Yeah, in 1925. And it was such a controversial decision to bring machines in to make cigars that the entire factory rioted and went on strike and
No
would not
surprise.
make cigars, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
because
it's
of
putting
them
out of
reasons.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the story.
I would
of,
have rioted with them. I mean, I'm sorry. None of us pursue machine-made cigars.
No, it's
Yeah.
it was their version of AI.
Yeah, but at the time,
Think
mean,
about that.
Chat GPT making cigars.
I mean, think about it. Also, like at the time, everything's being, revolutionized, mechanized. I
In
guess.
1925.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
In Cuba?
you think you're at the. Well, no. I mean, I don't know. It's not a backwater country at that point, right?
Yeah, it doesn't become that until the
It's not-
revolution.
That's exactly right.
So I can see them feeling the urge of populist sentiment to make everything industrial.
To innovate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
and who knows what kind of European, American, whatever influence was coming in and saying we can do this better for you with
it's
machines.
it's pretty interesting how that the cigar industry has never been like people who smoke real cigars are not searching for machine made cigars ever.
Yeah.
You know.
But if you think about a good portion of John F. Kennedy smoked H. Upmans. Everybody thinks he smoked H. Upman Petit Coronas.
Mm-hmm.
He smoked machine-made cigars,
Wow.
not handmade cigars.
I did not
So
know
John
that.
F. Kennedy smoked.
Cigarios, no?
They were. It was like
Okay.
it was a machine-made, very close to a Petit Corona, but it was not a handmade cigar. that he
Wasn't it a
smoked.
specific Vitola that he pursued?
There was a specific one. I don't
It's
know the
an
name of
Upman.
it. It's very close to Petit Corona, but
Re-
it was machine-made.
Okay. I thought it was the Regalia, but maybe
I used to know.
Did he
that.
know?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were machine made.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, he could smoke any Cuban cigar, but he chose to smoke that, which is odd.
Same
It's
story
true.
with George Burns.
Yeah.
George
Oh,
Burns.
yeah.
What were those
What was he
cigars?
smoking?
Oh God.
He
I don't
smoked
remember.
machine-made. They came in, I think, in a glass tube.
Yeah.
White Alps.
They were like 13 inches long.
Okay, this is making more sense though. So he would say he'd smoke like 10 cigars a day,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
but it sounds like they're little.
They're
some
Churchills.
Small ringgit.
No.
Churchills.
These were Churchills
They're
that he
big
was
cigars.
smoking.
Machine
George
made
Burns was-
Churchills.
yeah.
No way.
Come on.
They were Senator. They were big cigars.
So how,
Yeah, George Burns did not smoke small cigars,
No.
from what I remember.
No.
how
It
do
was
you,
an El Producto. It was an El Producto cigar.
Any
And
dimensions on the
size.
Vitola?
Was that
He would-
Kennedy or Burns?
Burns.
But 10 Churchills in a day. You got to
That
go.
is
Either he was smoking like a
crazy.
chimney
I don't
really
know if they were
fast.
Churchills, but
Maybe
he's,
not.
He's ditching them. He's smoking like.
Yeah,
he's
I don't
just-
think he's
just
smoking that
chilling
thing.
at that
Yeah.
point.
He's not smoking any anymore. But
Yeah, because he's dead.
yeah.
Thank you for reminding us.
I don't know. I don't know what cigar George Burns smoked from El Producto, but it wasn't machine made. And he would get 300 of them delivered every month. They were short filler machine made cigars. He'd smoke 10 to 15 a day, which is pretty wild.
The only thing I will
And
say,
when it didn't show up on time, the guy would like panic and be calling the factory. Kind of, very lizard like.
like us,
yeah.
yeah, no different.
well, it was a different time because you could smoke anywhere.
Anywhere.
Right? You
Sure.
could smoke at the office. You
In
could
your living
smoke
room.
In the living room. Well,
Airplanes.
Some still do.
Well, I know someone else that does that right now.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen George Burns smoke it in a talk show as well.
Oh, he would go on
Yeah.
Carson with him and everything. Yeah, yeah. So, back to Por Larrañaga, which is again pretty wild story. So, they pretty much made machine-made cigars that for most of their history, and at the time of the Revolution, they were exporting 5% of all of Habano cigars that were coming. Habano cigars that were coming out of Cuba were Por Larrañaga, which is pretty wild. That fell to less than 0.5% because they were machine-made. And then when Habanos came in 2000, they got rid of all machine-made cigars in the regular production lines. Now, obviously, there's still some machine-made cigarillos, et cetera, but we'll ignore those. But and that's when they canceled everything, and they only had I believe, the Petit Corona and the Monte Carlo until they introduced some of these newer cigars.
Do we know if they had a bigger catalog?
They had a huge catalog of cigars,
Oh, is that right?
but
At one
only
time.
machine-made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything that they did, pretty much everything they did was machine-made.
Amazing.
I want to go back to the machine made thing for a second.
Yeah.
All of us, myself included, have a pretty negative perception of a machine-made cigar. But the funny thing is, I'm just reconsidering this myself for the first time. If you think about it, our big complaints with a lot of cigars are the construction, right? The draw is too loose, the draw is too tight, this cigar is too packed, this cigar is too loosely packed. You would think that the solution to that long term, like thinking about the future of cigars, would actually be developing machines that could make this perfectly,
Yeah.
like flawlessly, in a way that humans just cannot ensure that level of consistency over time. So it's just dawned on me for the first time, who knows what the cigar industry is going to look like 50 years from now. But if we're really talking about wanting like perfect quality and consistency every single time, you'd have to think that someone could make machines do this better than honestly, humans can.
I think maybe back in 1920 there would probably be a marked difference between a handmade and a machine made, because the machines are not taking into consideration all those nuances in the leaf. That it's highly variable, this, that, the other thing, right? I hate that this is probably, sound like a broken record here,
Not
but
at all.
like if you have a machine that has some of that AI, capability to like learn, like, oh, this is, I have to wrap it differently this time or something. Like, I don't know how. I've never seen a machine make a fucking cigar.
The way I
Sorry.
think a machine would work in that specific scenario is saying when a blend is provided, you need X gram of this leaf, X gram of this leaf, X gram of this leaf, literally being able to weigh it, measure it,
Yeah.
lay it properly so that you're not having any roll problems, and creating ultimately, potentially because of the machine that you're saying, the absolute most consistent cigar out there.
That's true.
But the machine-made cigars that were being made back then, they were all short filler.
They still are
weren't-
short
They
filler.
weren't
still are.
making like.
And I think that's why. I think that's why Rooster that it never caught on, is because they have to make it with short filler.
Right.
But that's my point. There's got to be probably at some point some innovation where they figure out a way to do this with long filler at scale. I mean, honestly, I just feel like the cigar industry, as I'm thinking, is really ripe to be disrupted by something like this.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. We talked about this 30, 40 episodes ago about the artisanal nature of a cigar and how much we love that and the thought of it being handmade. Does it take the romance out of a cigar if it's made in a machine?
I'll tell you, if I'm paying what I'm paying for Cuban cigars right now and knowing that 100% of them are going to smoke really well.
That's right.
And the fact that it's not like the people that are doing this have great lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Then it's not like they're paid well.
Yeah.
You're not taking away white collar jobs.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't even argue that they're not even blue collar jobs. It's
an interesting discussion.
yeah.
Honestly.
I mean,
yeah.
it's an interesting thing to think about. That, as Senator said, the disruption possibility there.
Right.
Yeah, and you think about even the impact it can have on cost. I mean, you could do this for in a cheaper way over the long run, probably this way. I don't know. To Bam's question, would it take away some of the romanticism about cigars? For me, it would. I love when I explain to people why I'm so passionate about cigars, the handmade element, everything's natural, all of that. That's what makes this special. So I would have a hard time with that. However, if I could guarantee that every box of Cubans is going to be perfect and that the price could actually be reduced because they could dramatically, save money by doing this and then pass some of it, obviously not the bulk of it, along to the consumer, I mean, that would be a net positive.
That's true.
It certainly would.
And the flip side of that is that part of the argument for this differentiation between premium handmade, hand-rolled Cuban, cigars, and the rest of the tobacco industry is that they hearken that element all the time.
Yeah.
So it might be
distinguishing it from
yeah.
cigarettes and other gas station tobacco.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with gas station tobacco, but like,
Hey, be my guest. So I was looking at the list while we were talking here. There were quite a few, both handmade and machine made, that were canceled, but the only surviving Vitola in Por Larrañaga from pre-1960 is the Petit Corona, the PLPC, that we did a long time ago. Monte Carlo, like we mentioned, that's a current release, 2002. Picadores, we mentioned, came out in 2014. And this cigar came out in 2020. And that's it for the line. as of right
So
now.
the Monte Carlo, they're calling it a Panatella.
It's a slim Panatella.
It's a long cigar.
33 by 6.25.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that they're very inconsistent construction wise, but they're
That's-
cheap.
A lot
Gotta
of
be-
draw issues.
Gotta
Yeah.
be tough to make
Yeah,
that
but
cigar.
they're, I mean, that's like,
Well, they're not machine made.
Yeah.
It's not-
AI, baby.
When you say cheap, they're like $15 a stick.
are
They're
they
not
really?
that cheap, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they were like $200 for a box of 20, 25.
No, not these days.
So what are you guys thinking about this cigar right now?
Well, it's
We're well into the,
beautifully made. The ash is strong,
yeah.
light, medium gray.
I think the flavor has kind of tailed off for me a little bit. It's not as full,
It's
like, or it's not as rich, I should say.
yeah. For me, it's plateaued a bit, but still, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I also think it's not as sweet as when it started. And I'm getting more of that woody
Yeah.
PL flavor that I don't love. I'll be honest. I don't hate it, but I just don't love it.
That's what I remember. Like the initial light, you get a lot of sweet notes, and then it kind of fades away.
Yeah. Like many other cigars.
It's fully mild for me.
Oh, it's definitely a mild cigar.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
It was you know, it was dancing around potentially being medium bodied, but
Great
in the
burn, though.
beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty rich.
I'm
and
sorry,
sharp.
unfortunately not mine. I've had to light it up twice, but
Mm.
seems like there's a bit of a hollow in between.
If you need another one, we have them.
No, it's all good.
I did see when I was looking through the box, there was one where the center was really, really loosely packed. It's probably that.
Oh, boy.
Damn. There you go. Inconsistency. You're talking $20 a stick,
Yeah.
and you have underfill, overfill.
You don't get that on the PC.
All right, boys. Let's talk about our pairing tonight.
Let's.
It's a rum. It's called the Barbancourt, 15-year aged Barbancourt. Wow. Reserve du Domaine. I can't pronounce anything.
Jesus.
Larrañaga. You know, I do. I sit on the edge of my seat waiting for your pronunciations. I do.
That's not nice.
No, I love it.
Your Pennsylvania accent really comes through, Gizmo. I love it.
Oh, Lord.
And you haven't had a sip yet.
I haven't had a single sip. I'm stone cold sober. It's a Haitian rum, right? You were the one that pointed this out to pick this up.
So BAM had a cigar event last year, and it was for a charitable purpose, and it was to benefit an organization in Haiti. And so when I went to the event, there was this Barbancourt rum, not this exact one. It was like the 7-year, they're kind of entry level. And I was just curious. I saw, oh, well, they make some, higher year aged ones. I thought maybe it would be a bit smoother than that. So I was just curious to try it. I've heard of it. I had never had it until the cigar event, but we'll see.
It was rough.
Which, this or the other one?
The other one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, based on how this is tasting, I can't imagine that 7 was pleasurable at all. I mean, this is a very thin, basic,
Yeah.
not great rum.
No. Agreed.
I mean, this is like to put
How
15
much-
years on this.
How much was that bottle?
I think it was 60,
Mm,
70.
that's a lot of money for this.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't cheap. And it's like to put 15 years on a product that tastes like this. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And the thing that's sad is I feel like this is kind of supposed to be the flagship brand of Haitian rum.
It's true.
And it's not impressive.
No, not at all.
I feel bad for the Haitians.
Yeah, it doesn't have legs. There's no viscosity at all to it.
I mean, the proximity of Haiti to Cuba, I mean, they're not that far. And Cuba makes some phenomenal
Oh, dude.
rums.
Even
Amazing.
Dominican rum's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brugal
Brugos.
with a
Yeah,
splash of Coke.
absolutely.
It's great.
It's very good.
I mean, it's like to put a 15-year aged rum as a mixer, like that to me is the only purpose of this right now.
Yeah, that's
would be to
true.
mix it with something, because to
Yeah.
drink this straight, it's really not great.
Not
Did
pleasurable.
you put ice?
I did
You
a little
need
bit.
ice.
Yeah, you need ice in this.
Mhm.
I think without the ice, I think it would have been
Mm-hmm.
borderline undrinkable.
Yeah.
What do you think, Grinder?
Look at his expression on his
I mean,
face.
it's. I don't think it's much better from the last run we had, which you guys were, gaga over.
Which one? The
I forget the name of it.
Oh, the
Four
Foursquare.
Foursquare? That's a great rum.
Yeah,
It kicks your butt, but it's a good.
there's definitely a burn. I still have some like acid reflux going on right now. It's like a lot going on in my throat.
Haitian reflux.
Yeah, Haitian
Little
Haitian give
rubbing
back.
alcohol going down.
Haitian snapback. It's quite a you're right. It's like a burn.
Yeah.
What's the proof on this?
So this is hidden
43%.
43. There you go. So they've been making this stuff since 1862.
Wow.
As they say, following an ancestral family tradition might need to be updated, and a unique craftsmanship passed on in the family that makes it for 160 years. It's distilled and aged in French oak barrels, only French oak barrels, for 15 years, made from pure sugarcane juice.
I'm like, are you getting any oak? I'm not getting any oak.
No, I think the recipe may need to be adjusted. Might be time for a
AI.
might be time for a
Get
little looky.
involved.
Take a little look at it.
Let a computer figure it out.
Jesus, I'm sorry. You got the description of the bottle. This is wild. It says, for a long, rich, and complex finish. This does not have a long finish.
No,
not
It's
at all.
Very thin, like is said.
Absolutely.
And then my favorite part is the last line. It says, the estate reserve is best consumed neat, like a fine cognac.
Aha.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just objectively not.
For the Haitian palate.
I'm gonna give it a senator reaction.
They're a little rougher in Haiti. They got than Haiti. They have a little more oomph behind their.
Yeah, this is that's something.
Yeah.
That's really something. So the last thing I wanted to say on Por Larrañaga history that I thought was interesting, going back to the Petit Corona for 1 second. I was reading in Min Rodney's book that we always reference, which came out over 20 years ago.
Rooster gave it back to you?
Yes. Thank God.
Wow.
That's rare.
He's a good guy, this Rooster.
Look at that.
Can I
He
borrow it
wasn't-
again
So
for another 5 years?
so the one thing that Min Rodney noted that he was incorrect about, he said that the Petit Corona is still produced from time to time in limited quantities. So this is written 2001. But very difficult to find, and he said it will be discontinued by the end of 2002. So that obviously turned out to not be correct. So he must have gotten some information from Habanos that they were planning to cancel the entire line, and then they ended up wanting to keep the PLPC, which was the only cigar from 2002, I guess, until they released the Monte Carlo.
I am stunned that Habanos would create panic that something's going to be hard to find or discontinued. They would
Oh,
never do
That's
something
not like
that.
them. That was maybe their
Stunned.
first trial was in this brand 20 years ago.
This is all they do.
You know what's interesting, though? The PLPC, the Petite Corona,
Mm-hmm.
has the same band, right?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, so does
Identical.
the Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Everything does
Same-
except the Picadors.
Except Picadors.
Yeah, which I guess they have on there like that because of the because it's the Habano Specialist release, which only goes to certain shops. The other thing that's interesting is almost the entire line that is now discontinued were in cellophane.
Oh. Good thing they discontinued it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm assuming that
I mean, I'm sorry. Actually, cellophane would be helpful on more Cuban cigars
You think?
because the fucking feet get so easily
Yeah, the
damaged.
wrappers are so thin.
Yeah, I would actually
Yeah.
love for a lot of them to be in cellophane.
You think that was an issue of expense why they eliminated the cellophane?
It's gotta be.
And then
Right.
some would have to put each cigar into a cellophane,
Yeah.
and you could imagine going
Yeah.
back into the factories.
The labor, yeah.
and I think
back
that the
then-
way that they were probably selling them too was not in the way that we're buying them now. Think about how cigars were sold in the 60s, 70s, 80s. They were probably sold as singles.
It's true.
They're being thrown around. They're being put in cups.
Yeah.
Pick them up at the store. Like, you know, maybe the cellophane just helped protect it from the elements a little bit.
Don't forget they're put in chicken buckets.
That's right. Chicken buckets now. That's a modern.
Well, they were machine rolled, so it was probably easier
Yeah, to
go
drop
into
them
the
in there.
plastic.
Yeah. This cigar is pretty decent. About
It's
halfway
decent.
through. It's picked up again a little bit. It's kind of like peaks and
Yeah,
valleys
it's
right
a
now. For
perfect
me.
description. It's decent.
Yeah.
How much are these?
About $20.
20.
It's expensive.
I mean, Rooster was looking today. I just got a really nice draw. Rooster was looking today at D4s in a 10-count box for $26 a stick
Excellent price.
before shipping.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You know what?
I was paying $10 a stick 2 years ago.
I've seen D4s over $30 on certain sites.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
You know what? Right now, if I was short on D4s, I'd pay that. I would pay that because that cigar is worth every dollar.
It's amazing how much prices have gone up by.
I mean,
it's
like
insane.
tripled.
Yeah, but for New Worlds as well, across the board. The entire
Yeah, but a
cigar
Padron
industry is
hasn't
up.
gone from 12 to 30.
Yeah.
You know,
Not
36.
nearly at the same rate.
That's
Not
true.
Nearly at the
What's
same
an
rate.
exclusivo cost right now?
15.
15?
What?
14, 15 probably.
Oh,
like
wow.
360 a box.
So that hasn't really changed.
They
Not
haven't gone
much.
up that much.
I mean, it
No.
went from like 14 to 15.
Interesting.
What's really gone up is the New York taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
70%.
It's horrible. Try to get a drink. I mean, you mentioned this on a prior episode, Pagoda. Try to get a drink in the city. What was used to be a pour in McAllen or Balvenie for $16 is now what? 30?
30. Yeah.
Doubled?
Yeah, I've
And
reduced
everything's
my
measured.
Mm-hmm.
There's no generosity anymore.
my liver's started to regenerate.
Yeah. It's expensive out there, man. It's expensive. I just don't go into the city much. I only go when I have to. I mean, unless I have to be there, I do not go into the city anymore because it's just too expensive to like have a night out.
Sure.
You know,
That's why we have our club.
that's why we have our club. Beautiful 1086.
Oh yeah.
So, somebody mentioned cracked feet, cracked wrappers, and whatnot. I know, Rooster, you had mentioned this, that you had a cracked wrapper and about repairing them and whatnot. What was your experience, and what did you try to do to fix it?
I was trying to figure out why that happens. Once in a while, you'll get a cigar and either the wrapper is cracked or it's kind of peeling back a little bit.
Before
And-
you smoke it or as you're lighting it?
Yeah,
and
as you're
smoke it?
lighting it,
Yeah.
like you might see like a spot, like, you know, that it might peel off, and then you might not, you know. But then as you're smoking it, I think as it heats up, maybe the glue is kind of like, you know, like it's kind of like totally peeling off, or it's cracked, and the wrapper is pretty thin to begin with. So after doing some research, I think apparently maybe the fluctuation in humidity also has a huge effect to it. So if the cigar is kind of dry, that will happen quite a bit. Your wrapper will crack and break. So what do you do when that happens?
Unless I'm experiencing like an issue on the draw.
No, but like before you even light it, if there's like a wrapper that's
So-
peeling off. I mean, they have cigar glue and stuff.
I
made out-
mentioned this to all of
pectin.
you maybe a month ago, and Senator said, just raise your humidity setting. I did that, and I keep it at 68. The Oasis is at the bottom, and it rises up to the top, and I got 64 now at the top, which is perfect for me. I did have issues because my tower overall was on the dry side, and I was getting worried about it, so I cranked it up a bit. Kind of helped it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once the wrapper peels, like what do you?
He
what do
means
you
once you're smoking a
So-
once
cigar
you're
where that
smoking
happens.
it, or even
Honestly,
like before you light it.
Depending on the cigar, I would use spit. I just wet my finger and I kind of I rub it in the same direction that the leaf is wrapped. Then I
Yeah.
let it sit for a bit and I smoke it really slow because I've noticed if I go through a cigar really quickly and the cigar's dry, it will start to come apart. So I slow
Yeah.
down.
I have read that you could use a little bit of honey on it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You could use even like cola, like Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
because it's got a little bit of sugary
Interesting.
sweetness to it and syrupy.
That's smart.
What about tequila?
Well, the
Maybe just
alcohol.
dip
That's
it
what Schwarzenegger uses.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. Full dip.
That's awful.
By the way, that's a callback to episode 1.
Yes, it
Is
is.
that what it
Yeah.
is?
I think so. I think it's very close to episode 1.
But imagine spending like 20, 30, 40 bucks for a cigar and the wrapper is cracked.
Yeah, but it's very easy. I usually just re-roll it.
Oh,
Just kidding.
I'll bring it to your house next time.
El Senador.
I just wish, can you imagine if one of us actually knew how to roll a cigar? We're like, oh, the wrapper cracked. We just go grab another wrapper, just re-roll the whole thing.
Hey,
That'd be
Pagoda, I'm
great.
coming over. I need my cigars re-rolled.
You're living in the Stone Age, Senator. I have a machine that does my.
Oh.
With an AI
He is,
component.
yeah, AI analysis on the cigar if it's going to crack or not. I've had cigars crack at the foot when I've lit it. I've had cigars crack, in the middle section of the cigar. The only time I've ever gotten concerned or done anything about it was when I feel the draw kind of explode open where it's like there's no way this air is coming from the foot. It's definitely coming through that crack. But otherwise, I just power through it because I'm assuming that if the wrapper may be cracked, that doesn't necessarily mean that the binder layer is cracked or that there's so much air coming through that it's going to be a major problem. So normally I'm just powering through. I've never bought pectin. I've never played with any of the stuff you're talking about.
Same.
I just go through it.
Honestly, it also depends on where it's opening. If there's a seam, it's a natural occurrence of where it could lift. I think any type of moisture works really well there, and just slow down on the cigar.
Yeah,
For me, that's worked great.
I think that's right. I think it's when it's one of the seams that it's rolled along, you're usually okay. But when it truly cracks,
It's a fissure in the
when you're smoking, all of a sudden you just see like a straight line just crack through a bunch of the leaf,
you can't do
and
anything
then you're just
about
sitting there hoping that it's going to stay small.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does, and you're okay. But sometimes it just expands and expands. and then-
Usually it gets worse.
that.
yeah,
Honestly, if it's going to happen, you hope for it to be at the feet because you will power beyond it.
yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
I power through it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes these cigars can't look like a blooming flower, but hey.
Hey, as long as you're getting draw, man, keep going. But my thing too, I'll go against what you said about humidity. Like, obviously, I like my tower a little bit more dry.
Mhm.
Like, I keep my Cubans at about 60 RH. My New World's around 64, 65. And what I've found is that I don't have cracking issues. They've been at that humidity for quite some time.
Hold on. Your Oasis at the bottom is set at 60?
No, my Oasis, the reader, the measurement tool is at the center of the unit,
Oh, okay.
and that is set to 62.
Wow.
So it's about 64, 65 at the bottom and 60 at the top. But most of my Cubans are in the 60 range.
Okay.
And they've been for quite some time,
You
even
know-
early before I got the tower. And what I find is the opposite of what we're saying almost. I do not experience a lot of cracking. I'll give you a scenario in which I do in a minute. But I also find that I'm getting significantly less plugged and draw issue cigars because I'm reducing the humidity and I'm giving that tobacco a little bit more room to breathe, pulling some of that moisture out of there. Because when I get up to 65 on a Cuban, that's when I start sensing in a box that even when the foot looks like it's open, it's not overpacked, that I'm gonna have a smoke issue.
I'll just say this. I think not every tower is made the same.
Totally.
Yeah, so
I
you're
totally
you're
agree.
gonna have to play with it and experience.
It's not just the tower.
It's
It's
the
not
temperature.
every home is made the same.
That's
I mean,
true.
some people, whether it's in your basement, living room, wherever the tower is, it actually may run pretty humid. Others, it may run very dry.
Mhm.
So either the Oasis is constantly having to fight to increase the humidity, or you have a lot more humidity and it's trying to reduce it the best that it can. So I think that also plays into
Yeah,
it. I mean,
yeah.
from what I remember, yours ran humid where your tower is,
Where
right?
it was, where
Okay.
my Remington was before Lizard Sean bought it, was in a really bad spot for any tower or any situation because it was by a door that was constantly being opened. So the ambient in that room was always bad. The new tower is in a totally different spot that is isolated from humidity, temperature, sunlight, any sort of changes. So it really stays extremely stable
That's great.
with just the Oasis.
Nice.
So, and it's obviously warm now. So the air conditioning is running in the house, and I'm still finding the Oasis needing to do a little bit of work, which is the way I want it, as opposed to having to put something in there to pull humidity down. But I don't know. I'm just finding that my stuff is smoking really, really good, even in the warmer weather.
Mhm.
Smoking outside a lot more. It's just the stuff is doing better for me.
I mean, when you take kitty litter out, it just tastes a little better.
It tastes better.
I like the taste of that silica.
That blue silica, does
That
it put a tint on all your sticks?
No, that's the fresh kitty or whatever it is.
Right.
So the other question that comes up, obviously, with temperature and humidity in the summertime is smoking outside. I'm pretty firmly against it. I try to avoid it when I can. I know that I'm definitely in the minority in the room.
I love smoking outside.
I do too.
On a
Rooster.
non-windy day, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
What kind of definitive statement is that? I'm against smoking
That is
outdoors.
that
I
is
don't love it.
definitive.
I don't love it.
I mean,
Not-
my
not
God,
impressed.
have
Hold
you
on.
ever been on vacation where there's
Yes.
just you're somewhere tropical,
Yeah,
there's no wind, there is honestly
I've been to Cuba.
nothing
With you.
right, but there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Come on.
I think that the Cuban experience is isolated because generally at night, what we've experienced in the several times that we've gone is that the temperature and humidity thing always is really kind of at the perfect spot.
It dissipates at night.
The
yeah.
problem for us, though, honestly,
In New Jersey,
where
it's too
I-
humid.
I wouldn't use. I mean, we were on the Malecon where we're getting wind.
Yeah.
So there were a number of times where the conditions were not necessarily ideal for outdoor smoking. But I just mean sometimes when you're someplace outdoors, especially on a hot day that then cools a bit at night and it's just still.
That's
There-
perfection right
The
there.
smoke when you're out
And
there,
it doesn't move.
it just stays and
Yes.
lingers, and you're just staring at it in the air. There is nothing more sensory and
It's
enjoyable
true.
than
Yeah.
that
It's
smoking
like an indoor
experience.
outdoor room.
So
Yes.
and those are memorable moments with a cigar that linger in your mind. It makes an imprint. You don't forget those times. Truly.
Yeah. And the other thing about Cuba, if you're talking about Cuba, is that you can smoke anywhere inside.
Well, yeah.
At most restaurants.
It does
you can
spoil you.
Smoke
yeah.
inside. I mean, you can't do that anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I fell in love with cigars, smoking them outside, being part of the outside. You know, being around the golf course, people smoking cigars outside. Don't you have any of that?
I
sentiment?
enjoy. Well, no. If I'm my definitive statement, as Senator calls it, is really when I'm smoking by myself. I find in New Jersey, in our area, there's very few times of the year when you're consistently getting the perfect situation, especially to smoke Cuban cigars. Listen, I can go outside on a windy day in a humid day and smoke a Padron. It's going to be great. It's just, when you're specifically talking Cubans,
Yeah.
especially something you've invested a lot of money in,
Well, it depends on the cigar.
that's where I'm not going
I
to go
guess
outside.
it depends a bit on the cigar, but the outdoor experience is really unbeatable.
I just think I'm going to challenge you this summer. I think that the hotter it gets in the summer here in this area, the nights tend to be very still.
True.
When it's cooler, there's wind, all that. When it's moderately warm, but when it gets hot, like August weather, and it's 95 degrees, by the nighttime and it's like 70,
Yeah.
it's usually just so still and
Yeah.
serene and perfect
Yeah.
cigar smoking.
The
weather.
humidity's still there a bit, but it doesn't. It really depends on the cigar. I think,
but in a good way.
yeah, a
That's
new
what
world.
keeps the smoke lingering.
It's
there.
true.
It's
yeah,
amazing.
It actually makes it kind of gives you that perfume around you. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if you could have a room that's kind of enclosed on three sides and just open on one side so you don't get that wind, but yet you're kind of like indoor, outdoor room.
That's ideal.
That's what
just
I have.
perfect.
That's what I do in
Yeah.
my garage.
Yeah, I
You do the
too.
same.
Same thing, yeah.
So would you say you're sitting indoors or outdoors?
Indoor,
As you challenge my-
outdoor room.
But it's not the same as sitting. I will say
It's
because I
not,
have the
it's
same
not.
setup. It's not the same as sitting fully outdoors.
Right.
Yeah.
There's just something about being completely immersed in like nature
Yeah.
and just something very scenic than like sitting in any room with walls on three sides and one's open. It doesn't have the same feel.
But usually at night, it does. The wind does die down,
Sure.
and it does get perfect.
Yeah.
And we've had really good days. If you go
We
back
have.
to the last few weeks, there've been so many days you could be sitting out,
Mhm.
no wind, reasonably cool, fantastic.
The
Absolutely.
thing that I will say too is that when I think about memories of us smoking together outside, like that's when it's
Those
different.
are the best memories,
Yeah.
honestly.
Those are
But
special moments.
what I'm saying is when I smoke by myself, that's I'm putting a different mindset on than when I'm with the group of guys. And like when we sit outside to smoke, if there's a fire going, if there's not, if it's warm enough, if it's not, as long as the bugs are good and the wind is good,
Yeah.
we're so into it.
Well, you got to keep an eye on the conditions. But there are moments when I've been alone. I contemplate with my cigar alone. Those are also very memorable moments with the right cigar. I remember the Upman 2 I smoked last summer. My kids and the wife were out. I was home alone. I made myself dinner, went outside, sat in my chair, lit the fire. It was warm out. It was 9:30, no wind. It was incredible.
Didn't call us.
Yeah. That's a good point there, Rooster. Still haven't been to his
That
house.
was
You notice that?
That was a solitary Bam Bam moment. Okay.
The other thing too is, when I travel, sometimes I travel to Florida when it is warm because it's just the time of the year that we have to go to see the family. But man, it's difficult to smoke down there.
It's too humid.
It's difficult to smoke in the humidity.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even Padrones and stuff, it's just like you don't have enough butane on you. Like for listeners out there, I'm curious how you deal with that. Like, who live in very humid places all the time. It's got to be incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, especially you're lighting a cigar that costs as much as these do. It's like, Makes it
I've
hard.
had Cubans in a humid evening that would just go out.
Yeah.
Continuously relighting. That's tough.
Yeah. And it's not even considering
But
wind.
that's when you do your New Worlds.
Yeah, well, they go out too. Depending on the humidity.
So I had a relight when I was talking. I had to relight the cigar. We're about halfway through, a little beyond halfway. What do you guys think of the cigar right now?
It's serviceable.
It was good in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then it kind of faded off, and the last, I guess, I don't know, a little past the halfway point, it's picked up a little bit, but it's not quite the same flavor that we were getting in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm not
For
getting
me.
any increase in flavor or strength profile. It's staying fairly consistent.
Same here.
Yeah. Flavors are a little muted, but it's not awful, but it's not spectacular.
So I think the cigar it certainly plateaued, but then it took a precipitous hop off the end there, and I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's like a whisper. It's like very light, and I like lighter cigars, but there's not that flavor there. That when you first lit it, it was phenomenal. That flavor was so intense.
Yeah, it's like when we lit it, the flavor was standing right here, and in every draw, it takes 2 steps towards the door, and now it's in the parking lot.
So,
Just like
so think about
yelling at
why
us.
does that happen? It's the same leaf, right, from the top to the bottom. How does that leaf in the beginning taste a certain way, and towards the end it tastes like the taste kind of dies down?
what's the blend? It's the blending decisions. It's how much of the ratio they're putting where in the journey. So clearly, whatever they did at the light, or whatever that ratio was at the light, we obviously are wishing that it continued a little longer or throughout, or I argue, held that moment for later in the cigar than at the beginning.
We need to be on the Habanos tasting panel.
I agree.
And give them some feedback on how they can improve the blend.
I thought you were.
I'm sure with our very kind opinions over the years that they'd love to have us.
Oh, yeah.
What about the shape of the leaf? No, I'm just kidding.
But I would think it's blend. I would think it's construction. Obviously, we're having inconsistent construction issues right now. Pagoda, is yours any better?
No, it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
In fact, now actually the last draw was so bad, it was just smoke.
Oof. How's yours, Senator?
I'm kind of where Rooster was on this. It started good. I liked the first several puffs. The middle just went completely flat for me. And then the last third has actually picked up in some more enjoyable flavor, but nothing quite like the first quarter was. So, I mean, overall, I'm not thrilled with it. I don't hate it. I'm gonna smoke it probably to the end, but I want more.
The one thing
Yeah.
what is consistent about this is the smoke output,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the one
Combustion's
thing
good.
that's great.
right?
The room is smoky. Great combustion.
Yeah, the combustion's not bad at all.
But I will say the flavor profile really reminds me of the PLPC. And I'm not saying it's a bad cigar, but just for my palate and the flavor profile I like, I just don't think Por Larrañaga is a brand I really like the flavor profile of.
I have to differ on that, though. For me, I get a completely different experience with that guy. I'm going to bring out 50 cab in. We'll do it. Again, I feel it's much more flavorful than this guy. No doubt.
I agree with you. I think that the PLPC
Yeah.
performs better for sure, and there's definitely more flavor there.
Yeah, it's
But
delicious.
I think it's very
It's the profile of the flavor.
it's very
Yeah.
similar to
Yeah.
this.
My
This is like the
issue-
cousin of the
That's
PLPC.
the thing. My
It's-
issue is not that this doesn't have a. My biggest complaint is not that this is mild or doesn't have enough flavor. That's all true, but my bigger problem with it is the flavor I am getting, the notes, the profile. It's so heavily woody and cedary in addition to those other things, and I just really like that to be very far in the background in any cigar that I love the profile of. And it's just too forward in a lot of these Por Larrañagas.
Oh,
That I completely agree with this cigar that we're smoking tonight.
The only thing I would say is with the Petite Corona, you get the flavors that you got in the beginning of the Galanes, and that kind of continues
Yeah.
more throughout.
Yeah, and I do get more dessert note in that.
Yeah.
all the way through.
You know, the pairing is not helping at all.
That's true.
That's the other thing, right? Like I think we had something more fuller bodied,
Yeah.
a little more viscous.
Yep.
a bit more of the sherry or the sweeter.
I agree
I
with
think
that.
it might have really helped the cigar.
The bastards. These Cuban and Haitian bastards.
Go back to making machine made.
I mean, think about how much we're each, let's say each of us spent on this experience tonight, right? You're looking at a $20 cigar, and let's say a fifth of the bottle, you're looking at, let's say $12-15 for the pairing.
It's not cheap.
I mean, that's a $40 experience for that hour 15 that we're going to get out of this. Is that even in line remotely with the taste experience that we're having?
No.
You make that in a month in Cuba.
Yeah, that's true.
But this interaction is priceless.
It's the friendship, Pagoda. It's the friendship.
It's time well spent.
So what about the outdoor place? I know you were at outdoor.
Yeah, we were at the one hotel in Brooklyn, the Dumbo area.
Yep.
They have a rooftop.
I've
There's
been
a
there.
restaurant
Yeah.
and a bar and
Yeah.
stuff. Really nice spot. I mean, the view is phenomenal from there.
Sure.
Drinks are pricey.
Yeah.
So how much was the? So was it like a party, or did you guys just go?
No, we just kind of went there. Yeah, we just happened to be in that area. We just wanted to walk around and, decided to go to a rooftop area before dinner. Drinks were like $28, $30.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's
I had a
nuts.
Heineken Zero. I think it was $12 or $14, and they add gratuity and taxes right on it.
That's right.
So
What
it
the
was.
fuck?
I thought it was a little pricey. Yeah,
Yeah, can you imagine buying
Um,
something with no alcohol for
For
$20?
$12 for a beer flavored soda pop.
And then mandatory gratuity. You can't
Yeah.
even make the gratuity choice.
Dude, fuck Brooklyn, man.
it's the same in Manhattan too. It's, the
It's
same
everywhere.
thing.
It's everywhere. I mean, I'm tired, dude. You go to like self checkout now; they're asking for tips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
know,
like
it's like-
$50 to park, $75 for like 3 drinks. One of them was non-alcoholic drink.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 rounds. That's like a $200 like within the hour.
Sure. I love Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I have an office there. I've been there for a long time. Parking is a bit easier than Manhattan. So if you do have a little patience, you will find a spot. Even around the one, you will find. Yeah, you've got to
You want
go.
to find a garage for a good price anywhere in New York? Go on iconparking.com.
Yes.
Create an account. You
Yes.
automatically get a discount on every reservation you make just by having a free account. And I'm telling you, I have never paid more, even in the most high demand times imaginable, more than $30 to park for an entire night.
Yeah, I
in the
use
city,
Parkwiz.
ever.
I
That's
use
incredible.
Parkwiz.
That's an incredible rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good price.
It is.
I actually check Icon and I check Parkwiz when I go into the city, like for a concert or something. I'm always
I
checking
tried
that.
Parkwiz last night, and the closest one was $50.
Wow.
So we
Yeah.
ended up just valeting it for 40. It was
Yeah,
a little
It's
cheaper.
nuts.
So the closest one was, that was 25. You had to walk like 15 minutes.
Yep.
You're taking Uber then.
Yeah.
Wow,
for
what's this
valet
world
is good.
coming to? It's
Huh?
like
40 for valet is good.
So the ones in Dumbo,
Right.
if you there's parking 4 or 5 blocks in Brooklyn Heights. If you're willing to walk, if it's a beautiful night, I would highly recommend that. You can find parking there. Bit challenging. You got to cruise around.
Yeah,
and
we
look.
went. Yeah, we were in Bushwick. We went to Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Great pizza we had in Williamsburg.
Oh yeah.
You can always find something around Cadman Plaza there. as well.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
It was really crowded last night. There were tons of people.
Yeah. It was a great night.
You got Grimaldi's pizza right there.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, and Giuliana's is right
Yep.
next door.
And there's a new ice cream shop with
Across.
a big. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's a cool spot.
Oh, there must have been about 100 people in line there.
It's insane.
Can I? All
Crazy.
right, let's talk about that for a second. I don't understand. Some people are obsessed with standing in line. Like it's like FOMO, like fear of missing out. Like I
Kinda.
have a friend and his wife. When they are in the city or somewhere, like they say they're traveling, and they see a line for food or an experience, they sometimes won't even investigate what they're getting in line for. They're just that into being in line and like having this new experience, this new food. Like to me, I can't. When I see a line, I turn the other way.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
With all
These are your friends?
Well, let's call them acquaintances.
I'm sorry. Anybody I knew that wants to do this, they're out.
Yeah, they're out. They're out. It's horrible.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, people love standing in line, man.
Yeah. I've
Stand-
never
people
got
stand in line.
that. Yeah.
Imagine standing in line for bagels or pizza or something.
No.
Like, can you imagine standing in a
Well,
line?
people
for,
I
do
will
stand
say-
in line for Grimaldi's.
I would not do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
they do.
bagels, it gets really bad. So when I lived on the Upper West Side, I was right by, there's a very famous spot if you look at like best bagels in New York. It's a place
Liberty?
called, Absolute Bagels.
Mm-hmm.
It's on like 107th and Broadway. The line at this place, I'm not exaggerating. It could be on a Saturday morning like 4 blocks long. It's
So
nuts.
stupid.
Yeah.
But luckily, I live so close. I would just look down to see how long the line was, and I would just wait for like the opportune time, and I'd just go in, and there'd be like 5 people ahead of me. It was perfect.
That's called the senator's advantage.
Yeah.
Have you had pizza at Industry Pizza in Williamsburg?
I know where that is, but I
Yeah.
have not gone in there. No.
Again, the same thing. There must have been like 20, 25 people
yeah.
in line.
With
Yeah.
all my time in Brooklyn, Manhattan, I don't understand why people would wait online. There's great food everywhere.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
true.
Never catch me standing in line, man.
We know that now.
So, in the last third here on this cigar, I have had actually some much better draws. Like, I've had some real nice bursts of flavor in the last third
Yeah, it's not bad.
that are surprising me that were not there
Mhm.
in the second third at all.
Yeah. Second,
So-
third was flat.
Yeah.
We're having a similar experience because
Yeah.
for me, the final third has definitely picked up in some positive ways. That
Mhm.
second third was just a total
And-
dud.
Agreed.
What's interesting, too, I mean, we're about an hour in now. I really don't feel like I've smoked this fast. It hasn't heated up. It's only a year old. Like I feel like I'm not moving through this as quickly as I thought I was going to when I saw the size of the cigar, which made me question like why the hell put out a Robusto that's 4 3/4 inches? Why not push it a little further? Like give me that extra 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like if I so want it, like I don't understand that decision.
Strange.
You know, especially you look at the other Cuban Robustos that this is competing against. I
Well,
guess.
maybe that's why, competing against the D4 and others,
Yeah, I guess.
right?
This does not compete against a D4.
No.
but
Not at
it's-
all,
but
please.
it's differentiating it.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably, I don't know.
The only thing I will give it against all Robustos, this has the best smoke output of any Cuban Robusto I've ever smoked.
It feels
Totally.
like a new
This
world.
room at many times has been
Yeah.
filled with smoke
Oh, yeah.
uncomfortably. So like just I can't believe a Robusto is able to do
That's
this.
true.
It's that
So,
I haven't been able to see
that
Bam Bam
draws
at all.
is
No.
very open, right? You can get a lot of you get a lot of
Yeah,
hair
the drawer
intake.
is open.
So we had a listener email us. I wanted to share this with you guys because he had a good question here. Lizard Justin said, "Hey, I just listened to the Partagas Series E #2 episode. It was such a good episode. You guys are killing it. You keep getting better and better as time goes on. I love all the subjects and approach you guys continue to take. It's right up my alley, and I really look forward to every Tuesday morning on my way to work." That's an
Nice.
awesome email. And he said, we're coming into warmer months. I know you guys have talked about this before, but what are some of your favorite summer cigars to smoke, and preferably stuff that's easy to find, both Cuban and non-Cuban? So I'd like to go around the room. I know we've mentioned some of these before, but
Mm-hmm.
for listeners who haven't heard it, what are some of your favorite warm weather smokes? And let's maybe say smoking outside. It's a little warm.
Well,
Let's put that in the context. What are some of the cigars you go to?
QD Coronas Claro.
Yeah,
Ah,
cuties are
that's a
good,
good one.
but they're kind of hard to get.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
not an
They
easy
are
one to
hard-
get.
well,
I
the
would say for a new world, I
Cu-
like the Davidoff, like the Grand Cru series, like
Mm.
something on the milder
Yeah, you
side
like
in the
that. You-
morning,
yeah.
afternoons.
We should
to
do that on
start
the
out.
pod.
Yeah,
Never had that.
Yeah, me neither.
yeah, those are good.
Are we talking New World or Cuban?
Let's start with Cuban.
I love the QD series. 50,
So-
54 even.
I feel like Coronas Claros have actually been coming up quite a bit more. I've seen them a few times
Yeah,
on
I
FOH.
think QD generally has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it's the QD 50 in the morning and the Coronas Claros in the afternoon.
That's a good call.
We have the QD50 coming up on the podcast, by the way.
Can't wait to do that.
I think it's next month. I don't know when it is.
Can't wait.
A few weeks, next month. It's coming up
Yeah,
soon.
I love the Juan Lopez #1, #2 in the morning, afternoon. Those are
JL1
great.
is awesome.
It's awesome. I
That's the
had one
Corona,
today.
right? The JL1's the Corona, JL2's the Robusto.
JL1 is kind of like the up on 46.
Yeah,
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 and
Corona
JL2 is the
Gorda.
Robusto.
yeah.
While I can smoke anything, let's not forget the Ras, meaning I think Flavorful. It's excellent.
Yeah, short the punch.
I think
Punch.
I think a lot of the general production Cubans for me are great summer cigars. Um, it's funny when you asked that question. One cigar popped into my head, and that's the New World LGC Serie R.
Yeah.
That like very thick cigar.
Oh. R number 5 or 7?
4.
Okay.
So that's the La Gloria Cubana, but not the Cuban
Not the
version.
Cuban version.
Serie R.
Yeah.
Quite the robust
It's
cigar,
a big
though.
it's
It
a
is?
big cigar. It's
Yeah.
known for being but it's very sweet. It's got like a very sweet profile, and it produces a lot of smoke. It's very easy to smoke. So in that hot weather, it just kind of fits the bill. And another one that you guys are all gonna laugh at, I'm sure. But I'll take the punches, and it's actually an Ashton, very traditional Ashton, like.
Whew, I thought you were
Connecticut.
going to say the Alma.
I was waiting
I
for
have it
that.
right here.
Yeah, it's sitting right next to him.
Yeah,
It keeps creeping closer to center. I think it's going to bite him.
yeah.
They should have named that the
scared.
book.
He's
God.
scared.
He's scared. All of a sudden, he's going to be conspicuously absent when we do that cigar in the next couple months.
Guess, do you get any emails that are kind of not so nice?
Honestly,
'Cause
no.
You don't bring them up.
No, I
It's
would
cigar
though.
smokers, buddy. It's cigar smokers.
No, if we got negative emails, I would read
I would
them.
like to hear that.
Any feedback?
Are you calling for the listeners to write us bad emails?
We do not want hate mail.
Come and
Please.
criticize us, please.
The only person that gets bad email is Bam when he wasn't sharing his stock with
Of
us.
course.
But that's
I s-
over now.
That's
I
right.
still get notes through one of our groups. Not bad. They're funny still, kind of.
No, I mean, we love all kind of feedback, but it's
Never
generally
ends.
been.
Sam has been so abused.
Yeah. Well, listen. Look at how refined he is now.
Accountability hour.
I've got 1 inch thick skin.
But I mean, the listeners have been. We've had constructive emails saying, "Hey, I wish you guys would do more of this or that," or "Hey, don't do so much of this or But there's never been like a really negative tone, which is nice. I mean, it's always been very positive. So
Yeah. Senator, what are you going for in the summer? Oh, I think you mentioned it
QD.
earlier. Yeah, the QD.
Cutie
yeah.
50, yeah.
Cutie 50 in the morning.
I want to
50
hear everyone else.
So mine is
Said Ras.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
mine for sure. The two that I've been smoking outside, especially with a cup of coffee, and I like my lemon seltzer. That's kind of my combo. Is Punch Punch. Love a Punch Punch and the El Rey del Mundo Schwa
Schwa
Supreme.
Supreme.
That is a
That's a good
stunner.
one.
That's a good one.
That's a stunner for me.
So,
man.
but are they? Why are they holding up? Are they particularly like summer cigars? Are they holding up particularly well? in
they
the
hold up
summer?
when there's no wind. Both of those cigars perform beautifully outside or inside, but outside. If I'm out with the dogs in the backyard and I have 45 minutes or an hour, that's what I'll go for.
Mhm.
If I have like a bigger lunch or something and I want kind of a 45-minute or an hour-long smoke, I'll reach for like a Monty 4, which is that same size, that Hermoso. I'll reach for a Monty 4 or I'll push into a D4 or something like that.
You know, it's a good cigar, which probably doesn't get enough credit. The Damaso is actually not a bad.
the Padron Damaso.
Yeah, it's not a bad cigar.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've never had it. I'd be curious to try it.
It's
Yeah,
not bad.
Same.
Yeah, we should do that on the pod. We have a couple Padrones. We just did a Padron, the 85th, but we have another Padron coming up, and then
Mhm.
we'll put that in the queue maybe for later this year.
And I love the Soberano.
Yeah,
I do like that cigar.
that's a good cigar.
Yeah. Not for the summer, but great.
So I
Great
have to
fall
ask: is your coffee and seltzer?
Yep.
Do you ever mix them?
No, mix them.
I know
Is that a
this.
thing?
That's a thing.
I know this sounds
Really?
crazy. So my wife had sent me this the other day.
Mix? Are you
Apparently-
kidding?
No, just listen to this. Apparently, the drink of the summer, this summer, and she sent me it's like a Food and Wine magazine article, is an espresso and tonic,
Oh God.
which to me is a really bizarre combination. But apparently, it's like a crazy thing. They're even putting it on menus now at
My
like
goodness.
Why would
restaurants and
someone
places.
want
Why-
bubbly
be-
coffee?
This is what happens with the slippery
Well-
slope. Once you let these 22-year-old bartenders
Oh,
make
boy.
cocktails out of espressos, you're gonna get the fucking
Bubbly tonic.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the next thing.
yeah. That's horrible.
That's the next thing they can put in their Stanley Cup.
That's-
It's like, give me
I don't know.
something else
And then the other
egregious.
thing that's even crazier. So as I was reading this article, it was talking about these other recent crazes, like these strange drink combinations. And I started cracking up because it made me think the other day I had sent these guys a photo. I was having like an iced coffee and a cigar, and Giz thought it was orange juice, which in his defense, with
Okay, let me
with
just
the
say
sun
something.
on it-
he's right.
No, hold on.
It
No,
looked
no,
orange.
I am defending you. I'm
This
saying,
is 2 photos in a row.
Yes.
There's something about your way you're making your coffee. It has an orange hue to
No,
it.
no, it's the sun. I'm telling you, it's the sun. The top of it with the ice makes it look orange. The bottom looks like coffee. It's the top. But I was laughing because I'm reading this article. It was talking about how there was some other craze where people were mixing orange juice and coffee or espresso.
That can't be good.
How
That just
that
can't be
could
good.
possibly taste good is beyond me.
The acidity of the two combining.
The article claims that the
Wow.
coffee helps cut the acidity in
Reflux,
the OJ.
man.
It makes
Acid
no
reflux
sense.
right in the face. That's what all that is. For me.
Sounds terrible.
I will say one thing about the coffee and seltzer thing. Have you guys ever had a Manhattan Special?
What's that?
It's a bottled coffee drink. It does have some effervescence in it. It's sweet, and I've had that a few times. It is really delicious, but it's like drinking a Coke, but it's a coffee. I could see it working, but I think we should let Senator be the mixologist.
Listen,
on
No,
that
no,
night
I'm
and
not.
make it.
I'm not going to be the one to try it. One of you needs to.
Listen, two of my the two things I drink at the same time are my Americano I make and my seltzer with lemon, but I'm not mixing them together.
There you go.
No, but it's
drinking
not in
them
the
at the
same,
same time.
No, it's not. I'm not double fisting where it's in the same.
I
So
think
do you do it to
Dude,
cleanse
that
your
looks
palate?
good. Look at what you're doing. I like
What are
that.
You like
doing?
that?
Stop that. Are you one of these persons? Like, I have a terrible trait where I have at any given time at least 15 different glasses of shit around the house.
No, I police myself, and I make sure that.
He has to do his own dishes, please.
Yeah, exactly. But I make sure that when I get a new drink, I take the other one up. So I only have 2 at any given time.
Mm.
I got the water, I got the coffee, I got everything going on at the same time.
All
Yeah,
right.
see, I don't do that.
You're a sampler.
See, I'm also afraid too of knocking it over
I
on
have
like my
ADHD
equipment.
and I just can't like
Make up your
focus
mind.
on what. Yeah, that's probably more what the track is.
I'm just afraid of knocking like drinks over on my equipment, my computer and stuff.
Not to jump back onto the cigar though. I'm down to about a half inch.
Yeah, me too.
The end of it is really, it's pretty good.
It's pretty damn good, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's saved itself. Has it
Mm,
saved itself?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
I mean, Bam's fingers have got to be burnt. Look, even how are you guys smoking this down?
Because
that
it's not
far?
hot.
It's not hot. I don't hate it right now.
I just don't enjoy
really
the
don't.
flavor enough to smoke it down that far.
It's just ashtray at that point.
No,
for
I
me.
think it's. But I'm actually. You guys know I don't really go down this far on cigars usually, and I'm not trying too hard on it. I'm actually enjoying it right now.
The ash also on Gizmo cigar is like black.
Black.
Listen,
I mean, look at the
Well, he's
difference.
probably touched it up a lot recently.
yeah, I don't know, but it's not a hot cigar. How
It's not. No, it's. I mean, it's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
You don't get like any nicotine or anything like that.
Yeah,
at
no
the end.
sharp edges.
No.
So before we jump into our ratings, are there any other cigars that are good summer cigars for Lizard Justin and the other listeners out there?
I think any I do think larger ring gauge cigars hold up better in the humidity. So Churchill's, Toros, and I think for a summertime when the heat is either oppressive or at least somewhat discomforting, or uncomfortable, to use that better word, I'd say a mild to medium cigar, lighter cigar, Connecticut shade, with a bigger ring gauge, you're probably going to be okay.
And if I'm, to piggyback on that general statement, if I'm sensing wind, as we've talked about so much, I generally am not reaching for a Cuban. I'm going to go with a Dominican or a Nicaraguan.
Just one more, like what we were talking about, like not wanting to smoke outside. Anytime it's summer and it's not raining, I'm gonna, I love to smoke outside. Anytime you get to smoke a cigar outside, enjoy it. It's gonna be great. There are definitely optimal times where you don't want your environment to ruin the pleasure of smoking that cigar, and sometimes that's when you have that $40 cigar, you're not gonna want to burn it too aggressively down without some enjoyment in the space.
Yeah. And then I think the other one that's a great one, especially in the afternoon, I just love pulling out an Exclusivo all time of the day. I'm always pulling out a Padron Exclusivo.
Any day, anytime.
That is
Any day,
It's
anytime.
a staple. It's good anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, the other one I missed that I reach for when I'm looking for something that has a little bit more oomph from Cuba? I mentioned the Monte Cristo number 4, the Partagas Short.
Oh,
I love the
yeah.
Partagas Short in the
Oh, yeah.
afternoon because it's just that it's a perfect like half hour, 40-minute break.
Yep.
in your day, and you get back to it.
I've heard Puba likes that cigar.
Oh,
I think a lot of the H. Upmann, like the Kanye's, the
I think the
54,
the whole
Yep.
Connie
Those-
line are great for
Yeah.
warmer months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a Mag 46 too. I love when I have like a spicy lunch, like a spicy salad or something.
Mm.
I'll do a Mag 46.
Spicy
Spicy
salad.
Spicy salad.
Spicy salad.
While you're driving 70 miles an hour.
What do you put hot sauce on it?
And he's eating at the same time, by the way.
Salt and pepper don't qualify for spicy.
No, I get it from the
It's
from
true.
the Spanish joint. They make
Yeah.
a great salad. The
Nice.
Sonora, you've had it. Senator's had the Sonora salad.
Hmm.
Where was this from?
Chanos.
Yeah, on Ponca
Oh, I
Lakes.
remember this. I
Mhm.
remember this. It's not spicy.
Oh yeah.
For him to say it's not spicy,
It's really not.
it's
It
got to
does
be mild.
It says a lot.
He doesn't need spice.
Spicy salad, baby.
All right, boys, you guys ready to do the formal liquor rating on the Barbancourt Haitian rum, 15 years?
Yep.
4.
Yeah.
All right.
So I will go with a 5.
5 for Bam. Grinder.
I don't know. I didn't even.
What,
I
two,
should try it
three?
again. I
don't
guess.
know.
I've taken one sip. Yeah, still shitty.
Don't buy it.
I'll give it a 4 since you gave it a 5.
Okay.
And I don't think I could.
You love to contradict me.
Well, I don't think I think I would hate this more than you.
I think
Like
you're right.
a priori, before
You're a connoisseur.
you would rank this higher.
I'm a gorilla.
Pagoda.
I don't know, 4.
Senator.
So I just poured some neat because I started with ice. It's really not. It's
so bad.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 5.
That's where I'm at, too. It's a 5 for sure. It's a very disappointing 15-year aged rum
Oof.
from Barbancourt in Haiti. It's a 4.6, boys.
Wow.
That is a absolute do
Is
not
that
recommend.
a low? Is that an ATL?
It's an ATL for sure on rum.
Oh,
It's
boy.
definitely an all-time low.
The only
on
thing
rum.
we have to give them credit. Clearly, there are no additives in here because they've done nothing to mask the imperfections of this spirit.
They
Maybe
should've-
maybe it needs an additive.
Yeah. A little simple syrup, maybe.
Yeah,
Some
simple syrup
Casamigos.
and vanilla.
Yeah.
Espresso and seltzer.
I'm looking. That is absolutely, I think, the lowest scored
really?
rum we've
Yeah.
ever done.
Well, lowest course. I mean, it's got to be lowest everything.
Ever. Yeah.
No, we've had some pretty rough. We've had some pretty rough.
Yeah, we had
spirits.
something with a dragon I had to break on the floor.
Yeah.
That had to be worse.
Oh,
than
that's
this.
right.
It's true.
The ornamental.
Well, all right. Let's not forget, boys, the fruity decadence of Singleton 15.
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
that's another 15. That was a 3.6, a full
Wow.
point, 10 points lower than
You
this.
can use that to kill insects, really.
the
That's all it's
Ryujin,
good for.
the Ryujin Japanese whiskey that the senator just mentioned with the gold plastic dragon that he smashed on the floor was a 3.8.
Wow.
And that's, I mean, Yamato Japanese whiskey was a 4.8. So this is definitely in the range of some of the worst stuff we've ever done. Maker's Mark 46 was a 5.2.
Which I was surprised there with that one because
That's a
I
disgrace.
was expecting it to be good.
Yeah, that was
Because
weak.
regular makers is great.
It's a
far,
classic.
It's far better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's it, a 4.6, boys, on the Barbancourt
Huh.
15. And now it's time to rate our Robusto tonight, the Por Larrañaga Galanes. You guys ready to do the formal lizard rating on this? All right,
do
Rooster,
it.
you're up.
All right, I'm at a 7.
7, okay. Senator.
This is tough. I'm between a 6 and a 7. I wouldn't smoke it again. So sorry, I'm gonna just talk a little out loud because I'm trying
No,
to
please
figure
do,
this
because
out.
I still don't know. Like a lot of time when we do this, I can kind of guess where everybody's going to be.
Mhm.
I have no idea where anyone's going to land here. So I'm curious your thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't smoke it again. The combustion, outstanding. Honestly, I wish there were other Cuban Robustos that put out this level of smoke because I love that in a cigar. The construction was not great. I mean, I looked at all of them almost in that 10 count box, and each one was either underfilled or overfilled. The flavor profile, even at its best, is not in my sweet spot. And the second third of it, I mean, if I didn't have to try to finish this for this pod, in the second third, I just would have ditched it. I mean, it was totally flat. I got nothing. So I've very much talked myself into now. It's a 6.
Wow.
Okay. I thought that this is definitely one of the weaker Cuban Robustos that I've had. It had few and far between moments of decency. I think that's the perfect word, and it didn't reach above that. So I'm actually going to go lower than you guys. This is a 5 for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pagoda.
A 5 for me as well. I think in my case it was just probably the wrong stick in hand as well. Having said that, enjoyed it in the first third. I kept trying to seek what's going to be great in the last third, because a lot of people did feel it come back. It didn't, not for me. It was just smoke. And smoke output, I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
Okay.
How far did you get? Did you get down to the? Yeah, you're about okay.
Yeah.
All right, Grinder.
What do you think mine is? Since you've proffered that position that you can.
Can I
determine?
guess?
Yeah. Well,
I thought he said he has no idea what it
I
no,
have-
but he's usually can tell. He said.
I-
So I'm
Yeah,
curious.
usually I could tell. I don't know today because I think that it's been such a mediocre experience with these little bursts of decency. So I think you're probably going to be either a 4 or a 5.
I think you're at a 6.
I'm a 6.
There
So
you go.
I didn't think it was that bad. Like I'm looking around. I didn't like we've smoked some shitty cigars that have not scored as bad as this. I thought it was a very pleasurable cigar. I thought it was, it definitely fell a little flat, but for me that's I like a lighter cigar. The beginning was phenomenal. The burn was great. The end, I think it fell, like I said earlier. It just kind of hit me a little too quickly. The end there, and it was not something I was expecting, and I didn't even finish all the way down to the nub. But it was I just kind of benchmarking it against other cigars we've smoked on this pod, similar cigars and similar ranked cigars. It's just I can't give myself a 5 seems too egregious. So a 6, that feels about right.
Okay. Bam Bam.
Yeah, I think the end did save it for me. I took it down to a half inch. I found pleasure in the beginning and at the very, very end. So I have to go with 7. I can't go 6, and I think 5 is a little rough, but the end brought it back.
So the formal Wizard rating, boys, on the Por Larrañaga Galanes is a flat 6.0,
Oh wow.
which I actually think is a perfect score for the
Yeah.
performance tonight.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, if I'm looking at some of the other cigars,
well, what did we rate the Petit Corona in this marca?
so that definitely performed better than this. Por Larrañaga Petit Corona got an 8.4,
There you go.
which is almost 25 points higher than this one.
Yeah.
So the other one that I rated a 5, we've had some other stinkers, but this to me performed. It had the up and downs of that San Cristobal de la Punta.
This was better than El Punta.
I don't think so.
Oh, I
For me,
think
it
so.
was right in that same zone.
Could be,
Oh, I'm sorry. In fairness, this is definitely better than that La Punta.
right?
That thing was borderline unsmokable.
It was-
I could at least smoke to roughly
Yeah,
the end.
this had character, like I said at the beginning and the end.
So, Senator, I gave the La Punta a 5. You gave it a 6.
Okay, so I gave it the same.
Same score. So that's what I did too.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm, and I didn't look at this prior to smoking this cigar.
Sure.
So I didn't cheat.
I wonder. We have the data for all this stuff, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Whose average is closest to the average of the group?
Great question. So the Cuban average, I'll just run through them all. Rooster is an 8.2, Puba 8.1, Gizmo 8.4, Senator 8.1, Pagoda 8.2, Grinder 8.4, Bam Bam 8.5. So Senator, Puba, Rooster, and Pagoda are 8.1 or 8.2, and
And what's the Cuban average?
Cuban average is an 8.3.
Okay.
So there you go.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I just, you got to compare this to the other Cuban Robustos, and it's not in the same class. Even on the weaker end of them that we've had, what is the weakest Cuban Robusto that we would call out? Probably the Epi 2 at times is maybe
Yeah.
the most inconsistent,
Yeah.
but it can be very good.
Yeah, it can be.
We rated that pretty well. So
it could be really plugged as
yeah,
well.
it can. But I think the flavor profile on that, it just wipes the floor with this. But anyway, interesting to look at the data. And that's it for tonight, boys. So a 4.6 on the Barbancourt 15-year aged Haitian rum, and a flat 6.0 for the Por Larrañaga Galanes.
Mediocre night.
Mediocre. What are you trying to say, Bam?
I don't know.
It was just the company.
Yeah. It was
No.
The cigar and the pairing were
The
great.
company's
The
a
company
10.
was
We're not
mediocre.
Company's a 10, boys.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.